Of course the rain picks up as soon as I start recording. Hey, what's going on everybody? My name's Derek, this is Fatal RPM, and today's a very... Now, if you've seen the community post, you already know, but to give you a TLDR of why the videos were missed, again, first I had a loss in the family, and I wasn't able to actually get into the garage to be able to film any content. And then that following Friday, I had lost my footage of everything that I had recorded for that video. Since it was a 2-day project, the second day, right before I went to go back into the garage, I went to transfer my footage and gone.
And it's gone.
Today's video is going to be continuing on with the Z31. We're going to go ahead and get some of the fiberglass stuff. Again, that's the reason why we're starting where we are. It's because I have to run to the store real quick, and it's easier for me to go there before the garage than after filming the intro of the garage. So let's go ahead and you go get some fiberglass materials and we'll get started. All right, so all mic'd up. You can see this is what remains of the last project. I went ahead and installed the speakers, as we can see right here. And of course the doors are locked. Oh my God. I just realized I don't have the keys for this car. All right, so we're back at the garage, got the keys. And we're not gonna be spending too long in here today. I wanted to get this all laid up, but I don't know if I have quite enough time for it because it is getting pretty late. As you can see, it's dark outside now that I got back. But I wanna go ahead and I wanna cut it like just about here. But before we do that, I want to go ahead and start getting the fiberglass laid up on here. And yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead, mark it down the center, and we need to extend it about 1 inch. I want this part where it bends back, I want this one to be able to go past that so that I don't have to finagle it around and everything. So I wanna see, how do we have it on this side? This inner part here, ooh, almost fell. This inner part here is hooking just over that. So from what I measured, I think it's about 1 inch off, which means I'm gonna wanna do this as a 3-inch strip so that I can extend it 1 inch and still have enough space. The only thing is I need to figure out how I'm going to affix this so that it doesn't move when I go to lay it up. I don't know, we'll see. I might just cut this out and extend it in the back, I don't know. No, I think we're gonna cut it down the middle and just extend the whole thing. All right, so that means I need screws to be able to screw the fiberglass into it after self-taps. Probably reuse one of these just for that. And yeah, so let's go ahead and get into it. Almost forgot, the whole reason I went to go get the keys was so that I could unlock the door, even though I need to unlock the door for other reasons. But what we were doing was this here. Went ahead and got the speaker installed. There's no light over here, so it's impossible to see. Hold on. So there you go. You can see that's what we're working with now. So we went to this from this guy here, and there's a pretty substantial difference in the two. These are 6.5-inch speakers that we went ahead and installed, but I still have to install the tweeters on the doors, which is the reason why the door cards are not on there yet. These were the holes that were already there. This one still had the polk tweeter in there, so I had to go ahead and get that out. And I need to go ahead and more than likely 3D print something to sit in there and cover up the hole, because when these guys sit in here, I'm just gonna use this as an example, you can still see there's quite a big gap between the walls of the door and the actual speaker itself. So I'm gonna 3D print something that will essentially cover up the entirety of the hole and leave the speaker exposed. So that's what I'm doing with the door cards. Let's go ahead and get this guy all set up. I don't know if I'm gonna pull it off the car. I probably should pull off the car to make it easier, but I don't know, we'll see. camera. This thing is all cured up. Now, we're gonna see how well this PVA here worked out. Now, this is saying it's supposed to be sprayed on, and as you can see in the video, I did just kind of put it on with a paper towel. I did a couple of coats. It said to go until it was glossy. It was semi-glossy when I decided to put this on, only because I had put about 4 coats on, and I was kind of running out of time. And I know this is something I don't want to rush, but this is just the mold here, because once we pull this off, we're going to cut it anyway, and then we'll secure this to the bumper so that we can extend it to the same length as that size, which after remeasuring it, I saw I need to extend it about 1.5 inches. So I need to try and get this off. So let's see how that'll work out. Wow, this is very stiff. My mold here is so much stiffer, like just on this part, because the top is completely free. Just on this part, like I can pick, there's like little to no flex, and there's so much more flex in just the body panel. And I only put, I think, about 3 layers of fiberglass. One of the cloth fabric here, and then the chop mat. I cut it up into squares so I could lay it up a lot easier without having to fully measure it out. But it's crazy. That just kind of goes to show. Like, I didn't put too much into this here. That came off pretty freely. Just got a little bit more stuck here. I can get my finger under. And I know why this is stuck is because there was a little hole in the body there, so it's probably not going to want to let go of that. There it goes. So you can see everywhere except for where it was chipped up, which was right here in the paint, let go pretty easily. But you can see this mold came out absolutely perfect. As far as for what I needed, I just need to clean up this paint that got stuck to it first with a little sander, and we should be good. But I can go ahead and trim this up, probably take this off with a pair of scissors, and I don't know what I'll do to the rest of it. But this mold is perfect. So you can see, here's a closer look at the mold here, and it's nice and smooth, perfectly smooth. Well, as perfect as the actual part is, but pulled off some of the paint there. Honestly, I don't even know if I'm gonna have to really be worried about that, but I'm gonna go ahead here and trim this uncured or unused fabric off. I'll probably hit that with like flat disc or something, but I'm gonna go ahead. All right, here we go. Fully trimmed up, well, partially trimmed up, enough to the point where it actually matters. I don't think I'll actually do anything about this because I'm sure that will be within the area there. So if we get a final width measurement on the thinnest part, which is looking like it's about here. We're sitting at 8 inches. I need to go 1.5 inches wider, which will give us 5 inches. So 2.5 inches on either side, which is about yay much. So pretty much this is how much I'll have in the center exposed. So all of this won't even be in there. So I'll be good. So this is what we're going to use to do the center. We'll come back here tomorrow and get that all finished up. I want to, hold on. It's kind of cold in here. I don't want to do any of this in the cold. I want to get the heater into the garage here so that everything's nice and warm. I don't want to have to work with the fiberglass stuff because it's rated to work at about 75 degrees and it's 100% not that in here. So I'm going to go ahead. I don't want to run into any issues where this won't cure whenever I do this. So I'm going to go ahead, make sure we do it right. I'm going to go ahead, get the heater from the house, and we'll come back here tomorrow and get this stuff on here and get this thing extended. And honestly, that would be pretty much it for the front bumper. There wasn't much trimming we had to do on the inside. We're going to have to trim the lights whenever we go ahead and fit the lights in there, if I'm going to do that. I still don't know if I will or not yet. kind of unsettled on that. But I do know that I want to take these out and get a mold for this, because I want to, well, by these, I mean the plastic housing around the fog lights here, because I want to run the fog lights in these holes here. And there's no point in having 4 fog lights on the front of a streetcar. So I'm not going to run these. These are actually going to be doubling as intakes. This will be, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that one. I think this one will be going in for the air to water intercooler. So we'll have it sit about here on the bumper, and then the lines will go in through the light there. And then on that side will be an intake, which should be more than enough, seeing as how there wasn't really much of any. Like this was the intake for the car before, and that's much more wide open. So I feel like we should be good, and it will still pull air from other places as well. But having that side as an intake and this side as an intake as well, kind of, but more so for the oil cooler or water cooler lines, air to water intercooler lines, that's what we'll say, intercooler lines. So I will see you guys tomorrow. All right, so it's the next day here in the garage. We need to get started by getting this cut here. Now I already have the resin sitting here in front of the heater, a bit of the ways off. I don't want it to get too hot. Because this works best in about 75 degrees Fahrenheit, of which it is not here in the garage, like at all. It's like maybe about low 50s. So definitely need to get that warmed up at least a little bit before we start working on it. So while that is warming up, I moved this, I cleared out my space a little bit because those boxes and a whole bunch of other stuff was here. So now it's easier for me to work from here and here. So I can just left, right, left, right. So we need to go ahead. I want to make sure that this is as straight as possible before extending it, because I don't want it to be lopsided. So I think I have a right angle somewhere. It's either in the beamer or it's in here, but I'm going to take the right angle, make sure that this line is straight, flip it, make sure that line is straight. And then once that's good, mask up, get it cut. And yeah, actually, should I drill? I'll probably end up drilling the holes before I get it cut. That just seems to make a little more sense. I'll measure them with enough space in between so that I can get it. So let's go ahead, get everything pretty much set up. just finished up actually getting this all laid up here. So have it sitting in front of the heater now. The battery died on the camera and it's still not charging for whatever reason. So this is gonna have to be quick. It was on 5%. So I can see in the edges here, not all the way through, but like here towards the top, it did not completely go into the corners. Up here, it did a lot better. As you can see, there's no like air gaps in between it. So we're gonna have to do a filler pass after this, which I wasn't surprised about, honestly, unless I did it all with chop mat, which I didn't really wanna do because then we would have had a really rough surface on the front. So after this all cures up, we're gonna come back tomorrow because this is not gonna cure up today. I just had this here to help it out a little bit because this thing was kind of cool to the touch. I just wanted to get a little bit of heat in there so it could help cure it a little bit more. So now that this is all done here, tomorrow we'll come back. More than likely it will be cured because this cured in the same temperature. It is a little bit more humid though because it is actively raining outside. So hopefully not much of the humidity gets here inside the garage. So I'm gonna go ahead, leave this overnight. We'll come back here tomorrow, see what it's like and finish it up. So see you tomorrow. All right, everybody, so it's the next day and just got back here to the garage. I'm gonna go ahead and plug in the heater because it is a little bit chilly in here. So first things first, got that on, set the back just a little bit. Don't worry, you won't be a shelf for much longer. Now, this thing looks cured up just by, well, honestly, I haven't even looked, so let's go ahead, flip it around and take a look. That's stuck in there. That's funny. All right. I remembered I turned this upside down last night and forgot to take this thing out, so, oh, it's actually not stuck in there. Well, all right, so this guy here, yeah, all cured up. It's looking good. You can see you got some air pockets there, unfortunately. This will be easy to trim up. So yeah, let's go ahead, take the hardware out of it and see what it looks like, see what we got to work with. All right, let's go ahead. Oh, wow. So I did like 4 more coats of that PVA. This thing came right off. Easy. All right, so let's get a good look at this guy here. So, like I had said, we have some voids we gotta fill in, as you can see here. It's basically just on the sides. I'm gonna sand down some of this excess resin that was left in there. But top's looking good, just need to trim it up there. And then trim it up down here. I'm glad it cured all the way to the edge. Let's go ahead and give it a twist test. You can see the other side there is twisting, so I'm not babying it. Lift test. Push test. Yeah, this is on there. All right, cool. Cool beans. All right, let's trim it up and test fit it because we won't be able to test fit it until we get that off. So we need to trim it up first. So I'm not gonna use the angle grinder this time because that kicked up so much dust. We're gonna use the Dremel with the little saw blade on there. So let's go ahead, get that all set up. That was easy. It flew right off afterwards. Yeah, this kicked up just as much dust. Lovely. Still not even, as even can be, but still cleaner. I need to think about how I'm gonna deal with the inside here. I may or may not deal with it, I don't know. So look at on the bottom. The bottom adhered pretty well. We got a gap there, small one there, but the side here is where it really had the issues going in. Pretty much all the way down the side, the biggest gap being down here. But, hey, is what it is. All right, so now we can go ahead and test fit this. I'm gonna trim this up just a little bit more. I don't wanna cut all the way through the fiberglass. I'm gonna trim this up just so I don't get any fiberglass here in my fingers when I go to put it on. All right, so apologies that there's no light in here. Well, fuse blew. Yeah, while I was vacuuming, it decided it wanted to pop. So either way, I don't know if the owners are home, so I might not be able to get this fuse changed now that I'm thinking about it, which would be very unfortunate. But if so, I'll just have to come back a little later to do the Bondo and stuff, because I don't want to do this here in the dark. But as you can see very clearly, this thing now fits, and it might look like it's a little long. That's just because it's sticking out, because this part here is cracked. So I guess this thing was under a decent amount of stress and cracked itself. But you can see if I push it back to where it's supposed to be, fits perfectly compared to the other side, which fits exactly the same by itself, as you can clearly see. So it was a success. I'm gonna see if the owners are home. If not, then I have to come back later. I guess we'll see based off of if I'm wearing the same thing or if it's still that brightness outside and raining. We'll see. We have light again. So these, well, let me explain this first. So this is what I did to pull the slack so that I can fix this guy here. So we got this bungee cord. Well, we have this zip tie going through this hole around the fender, attached to this bungee cord, attached to this bungee cord, which goes around the headlight, like recess, through the fog light hole, and hooked back onto the headlight. That is the only way I could get enough tension that will pull this thing into the place it needs to be. I tried it through here. I tried going around. It just was not working. I had to go all the way to the other side of the bumper. We're going to go ahead, fill in this all here and the stuff on the bottom. Now, since these are relatively shallow, like no more than like 1/8 of an inch deep, we're gonna go ahead and use the regular Bondo here. Now, this stuff is supposed to be sandable within 15 minutes, so that means we do not have very much time to work with it. So, what we're gonna do is we're gonna have everything set up that we need to. We'll need it relatively quickly, and we'll get it right on here. Then once we get it on there, I don't know, take a smoke break or something, and then it should be sandable. And I should be able to get this all finished up the way it needs to today. Little small holes will also be filled, except for that one, for obvious reasons. So let's go ahead, get you guys set up on the tripod. Leave me alone. Get you guys set up on the tripod and get this thing filled. So what you just saw me doing here was I was sanding down the last coat that I had did of the body filler, and I had put a guide coat on there so I could see where all the low spots are, and I can actually fill them too. So there is one right here. It's literally about the size of my finger. So this one here is honestly the worst one. None of them are really that bad. It's just a little wavy. So we're going to go ahead and do the glazing putty now. I'm not as concerned with the bottom. So let's go ahead, mix up some glazing putty after we get this thing cleaned off with a little bit of acetone. And yeah, we should be good. And honestly, we'll probably be done after this. So looking forward to it. So I decided to make use of my time and go over the bumper. And I had a few thoughts. So I marked off every part where I found either paint runs, low spots, or like paint splatter, like the little, like basically contamination. And yeah, it's not great. I didn't mark off obvious stuff like this because that's gonna end up getting refined anyway whenever I go to put the fog lights in there. But this stuff I'm not as concerned with because it is on the bottom and this is more than likely gonna get messed up. This one, however, will have to be fixed because that's going on to the face of it. But it's like the same over here. And the other thing I realized once I got over there was a lot of what I'm doing here doesn't really matter. And there's one reason why. And let me show you why. This is the reason why. This is what I need to be putting the work in on because this is going over this anyway. And it's going to sit like that. So I don't know. Legitimately. Like, at least the thing that's good is that I did do the extension because now I can like put hardware in on here because this is lining up where it needs to. And you can see that is just shy of the edge there. So that's perfect. But everything essentially that I have done up until this point is pointless because can't really tell much has been done until you take that off. And this, once everything's installed, will never be coming off. So yeah, that's that. I'm still gonna get this smoothed down. I'm not gonna leave that looking trashy like this with all these little raised spots. So we're gonna go ahead, sand down the glazing putty. It's been about 20 minutes since I put it on there. So we're gonna go ahead, get this sanded down. Once we do, we'll put it on the car for one last time. All right, so this needs to be sitting about a 1/4 inch higher up, which is easy to solve whenever we drill the mounting holes for inside the fenders, as you can see here. However, it looks like, as far as fitment goes, you see we got a gap here. We don't have a gap here, so we need to knock this back about a 1/4 of an inch. It looks like everything's about a 1/4 of an inch off. It looks like it probably warped inward like that. It's probably from packaging with shipping. So you can see we can just barely bend it back into place. This is such a reinforced piece that it's not really going to be easy to bend back in place, so we're just going to have to rebuild it like that. However, this guy is fitting up nicely. This stuff just ended up re-cracking here. Oh. Whenever it's pushed in, it fits where it needs to. Granted, it's not as high as it needs to be, but it fits where it needs to. So I can put a quick release right here in the center. That'll go through the fender, and we'll put like 1 or 2 bolts on the inside here, And same thing on the other side, and that will be this bumper mounted up. The only thing is that the angle of the body, as you can see here, does not match up with the angle of the body kit, or rather the other way around. So this needs to be sanded in quite a bit so that it can properly fit. Because if you follow the gap going up the side here, this has not been altered. This is a pretty much straight line. You can see it kind of opens, which means it's sagging forward. So it needs to be, we need to rock this back just a little bit. So it's really kind of hard to do, but essentially lifting this up will kind of, this will kind of show you here what I mean by that. So if I lift the front up, now the gap's even, the body lines line up. So this just needs sanded to where it needs to go, essentially, because this right here is causing the issue. So as far as fitting up the front bumper here, this is pretty much, we've gotten to the easiest part. This was the hardest part of it, was extending this. So that's all done, nice and finished. And essentially, once this sits in, it's sitting behind this, which is perfect. As you can see, that does have a curve in it right there. So I think it's supposed to be making contact with the body, even though it probably won't in there. Being realistic, this thing is not going to make contact where it was designed to make contact. So with that on there, and with this guy here, everything seems to be lining up where it needs to go. So you can kind of see this is going to be the hardest part to just kind of leave here, seeing as how I can't really do that. But with that there, and with this here, I found the place to line it up. Let's kick this guy out the way. Found the place to line it up is just under this guy here. Actually, it might be a little lower. It is a little lower. It's a lot lower, actually. So you can see this is kind of how the whole thing lines up. And it's looking pretty nice. It mounts a lot. That's not right. That's not right at all. This is super, super, super low. So this is supposed to mount a lot higher. And I can only say that because look at where that's touching. This is supposed to be like up here. So it is supposed to mount like this, which means that just needs to be at a higher angle, which is no problem. I mean, I'm not surprised that it slid down. It honestly probably fits in here without me even doing that. Let's see. Yeah. Oh God, I'm losing the camera. But yeah, that's pretty much what this whole thing's boiling down to. We're pretty much done with the front bumper. We just gotta dial in the fitment with the mounting points. Get some quick releases for the front there, so I have somewhere to mount that. And the front bumper's done. I'm honestly gonna do all the bodywork and stuff once it's mounted onto. There's a mosquito that keeps flying in my face. I don't know why there's a mosquitoes flying around here. But I'm gonna do all the bodywork once it's fitted to the car on the bumper, because it'll be a lot easier. And honestly, I'll probably do the same as far as these guys go. Not for the mounting holes, obviously, because I can't once it's on the car. If it's mounted, it's mounted. I can't really mess with the mounting holes after that, unless I just mount a couple of them up and not all of them. But that's going to be pretty much it for today's video. I want to thank you for watching. As always, if you like the video, go ahead and like it down below. Helps out the video and helps out the channel a lot more than you know. If you're looking forward to any more videos coming from me from the 300ZX, oh God, my mount decided it wanted to not hold on to the camera anymore. But if you're looking forward to any more videos for the 300ZX, which is now covered in Bondo, go ahead and hit the subscribe button as well as the bell icon right next to it so you get notified whenever I do drop a new video. But as always, I want to thank you again. I'll see you in the next one. Peace. I recall